Welcome back. Let's continue then with the very latest from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, which will resume now, not tomorrow, but on Friday at 9:30. Our senior reporter, Kenny Mapanga, is watching developments, and she joins us now live from the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. Kenny, today we're hoping or prepared to hear from the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal, but he's now been given a chance to appear next year.
Indeed. Good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers at home. It seems that the scheduling, particularly for the Hawks this week, has, I guess, fallen apart, because we're now seeing that there is that judgment or ruling that was given by the retired justice, that is Mbuyiseni Madlanga, the chairperson of the commission, by agreement between parties, that he will now participate in these hearings in January of 2026 when he returns, and of course when he is furnished with all of those relevant documents that he is seeking from the commission. We understand, I did speak to the legal team on the sidelines of the commission, that is the legal team of Major General Sinona, who stated that for some time they have been seeking this information in order for him to respond adequately to these allegations that he has been placed in the center of when we speak of these allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. So these events that you're seeing playing out today didn't start this morning. However, it seems from the legal team's side, that is the legal team of Sonona, that they were seeking this information for weeks and were not receiving the kind of relief that they needed from the Madlanga Commission. And of course, that is when they had to reach this agreement that he will only participate next year in January. We also earlier spoke to the retired general of the Hawks, that is retired General Gofi Labia, about whether or not he has received a Rule 3 notice in light of the evidence that is being heard, and of course leaves him at the center, or rather at the top of that alleged instruction for those various units to descend on the property of Katiso KT Melefe, that is the 6th of December takedown operation there. However, he too says he doesn't know anything about a Rule 3 notice. So a lot of questions about, I guess, the administrative portion of the Madlanga Commission. Are these Rule 3 notices heading out? Are the implicated persons being given enough time to consider the evidence before they actually prepare to appear before this Madlanga Commission probe? Because remember, Sonono, his allegations are quite different and a little bit more serious, because he is facing allegations relating to the alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Cat Matlala, where it is alleged that Matlala allegedly was proceeding to, I guess, acquire a property for Sonona through his son, allegedly Tato. And we don't know whether there's confirmation or not as to whether that transaction actually went through or not. This forms part of the bigger allegation that places the Hawks at the center of this alleged act of shielding these criminal cartels, and also it places them at the center of receiving some form of an alleged benefit from these alleged criminal cartels. So for Sonona, these allegations are quite serious for him to answer to, and he would have needed to be afforded the correct time in order to consider the allegations against him, and then of course give a proper response to the Madlanga Commission. Also on the other end of the spectrum, you're hearing General Labia, who I spoke to earlier prior to the start of this hearing today, who said that he had not yet received any notice to appear, but he expected, because he's seeing a lot of those former team members that he would have led appearing before the commission, that he should be scheduled as well. But we don't know any details about that now. But of course, the commission will now lose 2 days of testimony and will only return on Friday for a new witness to begin with that evidence as it continues its probe towards these allegations of criminality, interference and corruption in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, and on Friday, we've already kind of gotten wind of who the witness might be. That's Lieutenant General Sintimule, and she's expected to shed light about that directive to move those 121 dockets from the PKTT's offices in KZN to the SAPS's headquarters in Pretoria.
Indeed, Ayanda, we have heard some evidence so far from the other side regarding the movement of these PKTT dockets from KZN to the Pretoria head office. What happened when those dockets moved, as we understand, according to the evidence, even though it is denied on the other side, that those dockets seemingly remained in those headquarters and were stagnant, gathering dust. That means those investigations, those all-important investigations into a very specialized prevailing problem within KZN and had extended its mandates beyond, was not being solved because those particular dockets were not being moved on. Now, we're hearing from Kwanazi's evidence-in-chief that this was an alleged deliberate attempt to stop the work of the PKTT, but we are hearing that from the other side, that is the unit that took over those PKTT dockets, that they were ready to start on the work and had already started inspecting those dockets, but of course they were waiting for that funding in order for them to continue with those investigations. So they sat for a time there before we saw any movement with relation to those PKTT dockets. So that particular witness will have to go into further detail about what more the Commission could learn about the movement of these dockets, which is so critical to this probe because it speaks to the question of why did the minister disband the PKTT, and then of course it speaks to the kind of investigations and the work that they were doing, and whether or not it was needed in the current political landscape. So hopefully that testimony will continue on Friday and the Commission will not be placed in a position where it has to, I guess, roll over testimony like it has today.
Yeah, important, of course, because the Commission doesn't have forever to essentially get around this work. We do know that there's been a very tight schedule, so to speak, for them to finally table their report. Kenny Mapanga for that update. Thanks very much indeed.